Hi, friends. Hello, the world. Welcome back to this episode of Tools for Transitioning Humanitarians and your host, Salwa Monova. And today I want to talk about obstacles obstacles in transitioning and how they look like, how to recognize them, and why to solve them, why to overcome them, and then, of course, how to overcome them, right? So, I have been working a lot on obstacles, and I feel like my whole work of coaching humanitarians is around how to recognize those obstacles and then how to remove them and how to be the person who knows how to remove those obstacles. And the reason why I believe that we need to work on these obstacles is so that we don't experience our lives as um, fearful human beings who's afraid to solve these obstacles, or so that we don't become the hostage of our current situation and feel stuck where we are, where we feel like the organization that we work for is not really having the funds to sustain the staff. There's so many people who are searching for a job, so many people who are maybe having the job, but they're so afraid to lose the job, even though many of them don't really feel like that's what they want to be doing, but they're afraid to lose the job because they don't have options, plan B, plan C, and therefore they just feel stuck, right? So the reason why we want to solve those obstacles on the way to transitioning is so that we don't feel stuck where we are, so that we have always other options to go for in case this one does not work out. And also, the reason why we need to solve obstacles is that maybe for some of us, we can't really go for transitioning to something else, or it wouldn't make sense to go for that because we are close to the pension age, or we're close to getting what we want to, and it would be just pity to interrupt that period and go for something else. And therefore, obstacles to solve is where how can we solve the obstacles we're experiencing currently so that we have at least an enjoyable way to spend our time and do the work that we're doing, right? Or we are satisfied with our current situation so that we're not really going for something else. So it becomes like fulfilling or satisfying to be where we are currently. So that's why either way we need to solve the obstacles, right? So therefore, how do we solve it and how good we get at solving those obstacles creates more freedom for us on the other side of things. It creates more peace of mind within. It creates more powerfulness and strength to be able to say, well, it doesn't matter what happens, I'm still going to be able to do the things I want to, go for the things I want to, because I know how to solve those obstacles, right? So therefore, I would say that our ability to solve obstacles, no matter whether we're transitioning to something else or staying where we are, um, the ability to do that becomes so important because of creating this confidence within us, creating this freedom within us, creating this feeling of powerfulness within us to be doing things the way we want to, no matter what the situation, no matter what the external circumstances are. And I find also that we as humanitarians are actually very good at solving obstacles, except that we don't really recognize that we are good at that, right? So we tend to solve the most difficult situations, the most difficult, complicated circumstances. We tend to navigate situations that are very politically sensitive. It is maybe even so sensitive that it's about to explode, and we're able to navigate in those circumstances as well to advocate for the people that we want to. So we are already good at so many of them already, except that we don't own and recognize it. We don't really see how we're actually so good at those things. We're so tend to be on the critical side of things of how we're not good at this, we're not good at that, we're not good at this. And then we just continue focusing on those critical sides. And the more we focus on those, the bigger we make those problems, and then we create them into obstacles as well. So you can see that we are just so good at seeing where something is wrong or where something needs to be improved. And while that's a very admirable quality, because we want to continuously improve on ourselves and grow, and that's great, except that if we keep piling up all of those problems or things to work on or things that don't work, but we don't do anything about it, then we just become like more powerless and powerless in front of those piles of problems. And then we feel like giving up because we don't really think that we can do anything about it, right? So therefore, the ability, recognizing our own ability of how we can solve any obstacles along the way and how we have done it so far and how we're wanting or able to do that again is such a key awareness and key quality to own so that we can keep solving the transitioning obstacles that we have along the way. Now, what are the transitioning obstacles that we have along the way? And here is the three categories that I have categorized for easier understanding of the situation. And I believe that if I was even to constrain it more, it would be one category, but I just wanted to, for the sake of clarity, to make it into three, because a lot of people can directly relate to those three. When I say this, they will relate to them. Oh, yes, that's true, and that's the case, right? So the first category that I think most of the humanitarians struggle with is the category of obstacle that we face is the money part, right? The money part of things that don't work or that we're afraid of losing, we're afraid of not having, we're afraid of everything around money that becomes so complicated and obstacle. And that's why we don't tend to transition to something else. And we tend to hold on to the things that we have, even though that's not probably, for some of us, not the thing that we really want to be doing, right? So therefore, solving this money obstacle as such and how we can solve it becomes such a key question that we're not really spending a lot of our time and energy thinking about and solving it. We tend to more spend our time and energy thinking about how it is a problem. Now, I will give you more of the categories below before I start diving into why that's so counterproductive for our transitioning and what to do with them, right? So that would be, I would say, the first category, which is the money problem and money obstacle and how to solve the money obstacle. And many of us just feel like we are not able to do that. We can't do that. It's impossible, right? The second category of obstacles that we need to solve is fear. And as I said, if I wanted to even categorize it further, it would just be fear that we need to overcome. But in this case, I wanted to put the fear as a category where it could be a fear of losing all the things that we have. It's a fear of failing and not having all the things that we want to. It's a fear of being judged, fear of not getting to anything that we thought it would be, fear of failing in between, fear of like I don't know, all the possible fears that you can have around transitioning to go into something else. Fear of not getting the job, right? Fear of not being able to perform the job that we want to, even though we went and did that. So some of my clients have fears around going to the private sector and not really knowing what to expect, what they're expecting of them, and fearing what if the private sector will not really accept them, or they will not be able to perform the job the way that the private sector expects, right? So all of these fears will continue stopping us from going for what we want, right? So obstacles are anything that stands between us and the dream life that we want to live, or the life that we want to live. Maybe for some of us, dream life is a long overstretch. So therefore, we all are wanting some sort of life that we're wanting to live. and then our current situation, and then there are the obstacles in between. And those obstacles are there no matter whether we transition or not, except that we don't tend to recognize as obstacles when we're currently doing the things that we want to, because we're so used to being in the survival mode. We're so used to solving a lot of the problems or ignoring other problems. We are so in the midst of every day solving obstacles, but we don't really think of them as obstacles because we just feel like we're in a stable environment. We have our job, and all the problems within is just something that we need to tolerate, even though those are also obstacles, right? So that's why the fears are the biggest, I would say, obstacles. And the biggest category. So you can put any fear in that category, and you will know that you are the reason why you are not going towards what you want to is because of that fear. Now, the third category is similar to the second one, but it has a different touch, which is the identity piece. And the identity piece is always the way that we see ourselves, right? How do we see ourselves currently is stopping us from going for what we want. So maybe we are seeing ourselves currently as protection officers. We see ourselves currently as supply officer, or we see ourselves as a national officer, or we see ourselves as assistant, and we just see that we will never be able to go to the thing that we want to. I am this officer now, and I don't think I will able to go and do something else totally different, right? So even though maybe my desire is that I want to be a painter, or I want to be a musician, I want to be an interior designer, I want to be a traveler, I want to be a coach, I want to be a counselor, I want to be investor, whatever it is. But currently the way that we see ourselves is I am an assistant, I'm a protection officer, I am someone who is not a business owner, I'm someone who has no clue about the business, right? We see ourselves in a particular way, and therefore we use that as an obstacle for us then not to go to what we want to go, right? So when we see at these three categories roughly, so the money obstacle, the fear obstacle, and the identity obstacle, we can see that all of them, we start using them as a reason why we can't go for what we want, right? So that's what the obstacle is. The problem is, though, that oftentimes we don't recognize obstacles as obstacles. We see them as the matter of fact things, meaning that we just see them as this is how it is, it can't change, there's no way it's changing, and therefore I'm stuck where I don't want to be, right? That's how we usually reason. And when we start reasoning, or when we usually reason as this is just a matter of fact, factual thing, it can't be changed, when we are stuck in that place, then we're not going to move any further, because we're just seeing everything, all the future, all the things that we want, we are seeing through the lens of stuckness, through the lens of fear, through the lens of doubt, through the lens of worry. And when we see everything through those lenses, then all we will do is we will just create worst case scenarios for ourselves. We just keep creating how everything that we want is not possible. We will get skeptical, or if we are skeptical already, we increase that skepticism, and then we just go into the pessimistic view of nothing is working, nothing's going to work, I am doomed, I'm here for the rest of my life stuck, and there's nothing I can do. And that's the very big highway to depression, to burnout, to all the things that we don't want. So that's why whenever we are solving obstacles, we are overcoming obstacles, the first thing we need to do is understand that, or at least explore, what if we are the people who can overcome those obstacles? We need to at least give ourselves a chance to say, what if we are someone who can overcome these obstacles? What if? Like, we don't believe it's possible, fine, We don't believe that we can make all the money work and overcome fears and all of this. Fine. We don't believe any of that, and that's fine. And in the beginning, that's usually how it is, depending on where you're starting. Is I have humanitarian clients with whom we started from. I can't even survive my job currently. How am I even going to transition to something else, right? So we started from the zero negative, let's say. And that's possible as well that for you to start looking at, okay, I I want to change, right? I want to go for the things that I want. I want to be the person who overcomes these obstacles. So then how do I do that? Right? And we need to go to that place first. Once we are at that place of, okay, how do I do that? What if I can change? Because if I keep doing the job the way that I have been doing, I'm just going to compile all the emotional problems or all the health problems, and I just don't want to spend my pension age just recovering from my illnesses, right? Or like continuing surviving that I just kept surviving all these years. I don't want to do that. If you are someone who's in that state, then it will give you even additional push to say, okay, no matter whether we're staying or leaving, and you don't even need to decide that part, no matter whether you're staying or leaving, we need to become the person who knows how to overcome those obstacles. Like whatever the obstacle that you believe, even if it's fear, whatever the fear is, even if it's identity piece, even if it's a money piece, whatever it is, we need to become finally the people who know or who can overcome those obstacles. So therefore, in the beginning, we can go to the phase of, okay, what if I am someone who can overcome obstacle? And if that was true, even though I don't believe it's true, right? But if that was true, how would I do that? And then we start exploring options around how that could be possible. The next stage is where we start getting familiar with the fear itself and start learning about our fears, about how they are so protective of us, right? Learning about our fears instead of just keep avoiding those fears, just keep going for the shortcut or going for the easy way out. Instead of doing all of those things, we start exploring, okay, how could we explore and learn about our fears? What are they telling us? Like, how are they protecting us? And we need to understand how protective they are of us. And the reason why they're so protective of us is because we're not really giving them assurance. We're not giving assurance to our fears that we actually will be fine even if we transition. We actually will be fine even if we do those things that we want to. We will be fine finding solutions even if we go for the thing that we want to. We need to give ourselves the assurance. And as long as that assurance is not there, as long as that confidence or trust is not there, then the fear becomes so wild up, right? Fear becomes so prominent that it just keeps producing doubts, worries, second guessing, overthinking, and all of those things. That's what fear does. And fear keeps always shrinking our options. It keeps always making us choose from the worst options, even though we could go for better options if we looked at it a zoom out way. So that's what fear does. So that's why our goal or our work is to get to know fear, to feel the fear, to allow the fear, to not be afraid of fear, and start looking at how we can give ourselves those assurances, those trust, those confidence, those belief that we actually are able to make things work the way we want to. That's the third stage, right? The third stage is where we start building our confidence, our trust, our belief in ourselves that we are actually capable of doing far beyond things than what we're doing currently. And that's what a lot of people are calling it, rewiring your unconscious mind or rewiring your identity, whichever the way you call it, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you start regulating fear so that your trust in yourself becomes higher than the fear, so that you start listening to trust and relying on trust when making decisions, when going for things that you want to, so that fear does not interfere so much that it blocks you from going for what you want to do, right? So therefore, what's so key in everything that I do is that I work a lot on our emotions not taking over our actions, but rather us deciding what to do and what not to do, and not letting the fear take over everything. Because as long as we're not able to regulate that fear, we're going to continue to be a hostage or victim of our situations where we don't want to be, right? Because as long as we're afraid to go for the thing that we want to, then we feel immediately stuck where we don't want to, because now we're telling ourselves, well, I really don't want to be where I want to, but I can't really leave this place because I'm afraid that the other thing that I want will work. So therefore, immediately we feel stuck. And if we feel stuck, we start forcing ourselves to do things that we don't want to every day, to a point that we start creating health problems, emotional problems, and we just don't like the experience of our lives. So, my dears, the whole reason of me talking about obstacles and transitioning is that as long as we don't believe that we're the people who can solve those obstacles, we're going to feel fearful, doubtful, worrying all of the time or most of the time, that we just don't enjoy the experience of our lives. And as much as I'm seeing so many of people wanting to transition, but they are afraid and they're not able to do that, the only reason why they keep staying in that state is because they believe that they can't overcome these obstacles. And I just wanted to remind that we are the humanitarians who have overcome obstacles beyond measures. If you think about it, we have overcome obstacles of working in the war zone. We have overcome the obstacles of our passports that are not that were not seen as good passports or passports for employing people, and we were able to get to the heights of the career despite our passports, right? We are the people who never knew that we are able to earn I don't know, 5K, 10K, and even beyond every month, are doing a humanitarian work, and we have done it. And we have done so many other things and so many other obstacles that we have overcome in duty stations and non-family duty stations and compound situations. And if we are able to do that, then why do we not still consider ourselves as someone who can overcome those obstacles? And as long as we don't believe that we can overcome them, then we will always feel stuck and fearful and doubtful and continue that route, which we do not like most of the time. So that's why if we want to create that peace, that freedom, that um, uh, vigor or life feelings of loving life and living life fully and doing all the things that we want to, creating the impact that we want to. If we want to do that, then we need to be so good at overcoming any obstacles in our way to getting to what we want to. And I believe we're all ready. The work now is to own that and start applying it to our transitioning journey. So that's where I would love to invite you to do this work with me, um, coaching with me, so that we can get you to being the person, owning being that person who is good at overcoming any obstacle on the way. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful week.